Back to another video on the channel. Wimbledon 2021 is just around the corner. Starts on Monday, and today I'm going to be recording my full women's tournament preview and also giving my predictions on who I think will make major runs in the tournament and finally who I think will win it. My full men's preview prediction video is already in the channel if you do want to check that out, and also next week I will be posting lots of videos on the men's and women's tournaments. If you do want to keep updated with those, then do subscribe. So, kicking things off with the Women's Wimbledon 2021. As I said, starts on Monday, 20th of June, finishes on the 10th of July. Saturday will be the women's final. And I just can't wait for another fantastic singles women's Grand Slam. So wide open, these Grand Slams now on the WTA, littered with quality players. Players with lots of different styles, of ages, tactics, but all chasing the same goals. You've got the likes of CoCo Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek, who are teenagers in the very early 20s. Lots of young players on the rise in the women's rankings. And you've also got the old guard, the likes of Serena Williams, Petra Kvitova, Angelique Kerber, Muguruza has been there and won Grand Slams. So there's a perfect blend between youth and experience, but all wonderfully gifted players that are capable of making major runs at Wimbledon this year. I think we saw at the French Open how wide open Grand Slams are when you had, Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova and Krejcikova in the final. If you did predict those two to reach the French Open final, then yeah, you might as well put the lottery on as well this week. Two real outside players and both played fantastically well to reach the final, fully deserved the place in the final too. So yeah, it's very difficult to predict the winners and losers in Grand Slams on the women's side, but I'm going to do my best to pick out a few of the players that you'd expect to be in the quarterfinals and semi-finals and finals of Wimbledon in a couple of weeks' time. So before you get into looking at the top players, we unfortunately have lost Naomi Osaka. Simona Halep withdrew today, Jennifer Brady, and I think Azarenka is sort of touch and go whether she's going to compete due to her injury. I think she withdrew the other day from her match, so hopefully she is fit to go on Monday. So kicking things off now when I'm going to preview some players, and got to start with Serena Williams, who is a seven-time Wimbledon champion, 23-time Grand Slam champion, going for record time 24 singles title. She has reached the last two Wimbledon finals in 2018 and 2019, losing Angelique Kerber and then losing to Simona Halep the following year. With Halep and Osaka out, I think this is Serena Williams' best opportunity. I think it's worth saying that Serena Williams is not the force of old, but she's way more experienced than anybody else in this draw, particularly on grass. Serena Williams at the best on grass as well, and I think she will recognise this is her big opportunity to win that 24th career Grand Slam title. Although Serena is still not, she's not the force of old. She's not the player she was 10 or 11 years ago, which is to be expected. She's 39-year-old now. But Serena's still a very special player and capable of beating anybody in the world on a given day. If you couple in the fact that she's going to be on centre court the majority of the time on a surface that she's, as I said, so much more experienced than any other player in the draw, then she is a major player. The short points really play into her hands. She's got that huge first serve and forehand, which are going to be key weapons. If she can make 65% plus first serves, follow them up with huge ground strokes, which she can outpower and outplay anybody off the court. Then Serena, she's got a major opportunity of winning that 24th Grand Slam title, I think. One other important thing I think for Serena in the next couple of weeks is that she does stroll through the early rounds to conserve stamina for the later tests, and that is difficult. As I said, the tournament's so wide open. There's so many talented players now in the WTA. From ranked 100 inside, they're all extremely gifted players, and with the likes of Krejcikova and Pavlyuchenkova reaching the French Open final, it just sort of gives hope and motivation to the low-ranked players that they can just follow suit. I don't think Williams has got the same fear factor that she did a few years ago, because she started to lose matches more frequently at Grand Slams, so she doesn't carry that fear factor onto the court as much as she used to. But I do think Serena's a major player in this draw, and if she can get to the quarterfinal, semi-final stages, she's got experience in winning, form at Wimbledon to rely upon, which could help us certainly in the later stages of matches. Moving on now to Ashley Barty, the world number one. Her favourite surface is grass, which is perfect for Wimbledon, obviously. But she is recovering from a hip injury, so she's had no prep event, which I do feel is a slight worry for Ashley Barty. She hasn't played a great deal of tennis due to limited travel from Australia from the early part of last year. I do feel like if this was a fully fit Ashley Barty that had excellent preparation, that was, definitely 100% fit, then I think she would probably be the favourite for this title after the withdrawal of Simona Halep earlier today. But I just think there's a couple of questions surrounding her. Is she 100% fit? I'm not sure myself. She hasn't been playing frequently prior to Wimbledon, which is a slight worry as well. It might take a couple of rounds to get going, and she might just get upset in the early rounds. Barty, as I've mentioned on this channel many, many times, that she's a very, very gifted player. She's brilliant to watch. She's technically superb. She's got the all-round game for Wimbledon. She's got a very good first serve. She's got lots of variety in the backhand with the drop shots and the slice. A very big forehand, particularly cross-court. She's got great hands around the net. She's capable of mixing the game up, which is, perfect for Wimbledon. But I'm just not sure that she's had a good enough preparation, and you can't bank on her fitness 100%. So I wouldn't be predicting, Ashley Barty to win Wimbledon this year. But I do hope she has a good run, as she is one of my favourite players to watch on the WTA. Iga Swiatek, a hugely talented teenager who came through last year and won French Open without dropping a set, which was just an incredible achievement. And she's a player that's going to win many, many Grand Slams and be inside the top 3 in the world, probably in the next couple of years. And I'm a huge fan of Swiatek's, but she's a very young player, and with the grass court season not going ahead last year, she's a player, unfortunately, with very little experience on grass. And I think you can see that from when I watch her this week in Eastbourne. I think she needs more practice on grass, certainly. She struggled massively at times and seemed to go on runs where she just wasn't quite timing the ball. And I think with Swiatek, she's a player that constructs points so well. She's a very stats-based player. She likes the long exchanges. She likes to time the ball perfectly well, and the bounce on the grass is very low. It's often unpredictable, and I just think Swiatek's the type of player that she'll need to adjust over time, and that'll certainly come with matches. She can certainly adjust over time, but at the moment she's very young. She's very inexperienced on grass, and I think she's a player that likes to have a game exactly where she wants to be. She likes to put a game all together in a match. She doesn't like to go runs of games where she's making lots of unforced errors, and I think on grass the game just sort of unravel at times. She struggles to read the bounce, and she struggles to time the ball like she does on a hard court or a clay court. And yeah, I'm just not quite sure that Swiatek's got the complete game yet on grass to win a Wimbledon title, but I think years down the line she certainly will do, because she's a hugely talented player with a superb mentality. Moving on now to Garbine Muguruza, who obviously won this title in 2017. Following that, she did have a couple of quiet years before bouncing back to form when she reached the 2020 Australian Open final. And Muguruza, for me, is one to watch in the draw, and I think I'll certainly be watching Garbine Muguruza's opening couple of 2 or 3 rounds to see what sort of form she's in and what sort of state of mind she's in, because I'm often a split opinion on Garbine Muguruza. I think when she's aggressive, she's got a fantastic serve. She creates a great angle on the forehand. She's a tall player, difficult to pass at the net. She's got good hands, a good volleyer. I think if Muguruza turns up in that form like she did in 2017, then I make her, one of the top 2 favourites to win this title. I really think she can go far, and I'm expecting to see a strong performance from Muguruza in this tournament due to the withdrawals, the likes of Brady and Halep and Osaka. Then it's a great opportunity for all these players, in particular players like Muguruza, who've got that experience of winning at Wimbledon. Over the past few years, I think with Muguruza, often when I've watched her, I think she's too passive. She gets drawn at long exchanges from the baseline. I just don't think that's Muguruza's best style of play. I think she's better when she's coming into the net, when she's looking to be aggressive, when she's looking to make the first serve. I think if she can use those weapons effectively and efficiently, gain confidence in her play, then I think she's got a real shout. But yeah, I think it's worth watching her open a couple of matches and see what type of style of tennis she's playing. Is she confident moving into the net? Does she, fancy herself to win the title? I think you'll be able to tell that from an early performances, and if she can stroll through the early rounds, then I think Muguruza is arguably favourite to win this title. Moving on now to Arina Sabalenka, who is a player with huge ground strokes and a massive first serve, which should set her up very well for a great run at Wimbledon. I just feel like Sabalenka is still actually slightly unreliable at Grand Slams. We're yet to see Sabalenka really stamp her authority at a Grand Slam. I think she's improving without doubt. She's still a very, very young player, 22 or 23. With maturity and more experience at Grand Slams, particularly at Wimbledon, where she hasn't competed a great deal. She will improve over time, but mentally, I'm just not quite sure that Arina Sabalenka is ready to win a Grand Slam yet. I think when she falls behind in matches or starts playing poorly, I don't think she's the best problem solver. I think she probably overhits the ball at times. She's a little bit too erratic, and it seems that when it starts going bad from Arina Sabalenka, it often just goes from bad to worse almost, and the errors really start to flow. So, although I think Sabalenka on a hard court is capable of blowing anybody in the world off the court, on a grass court I'm not so sure. And I think when the times do get tough and she comes up against more experienced players on grass who've got a better all-round game and use the slice, then Sabalenka could unravel. And I'm just not sure she's got the mentality to turn a match around and produce the best in a quarter-final, semi-final if she was to reach that stage. And finally, I'm going to talk about Coco Gauff. How can you not? I think she's, certainly one of the main contenders. She hasn't had the best preparation for Wimbledon on grass, which is a slight worry. I would have expected her to do a little bit better in the prep events than what she has done. But for a player of her age, she's got a very good record at Wimbledon, and surprisingly, she's more experienced than some players in the straw on grass because of those runs. She's a crowd favourite. She's drastically improved as well, I think, since her last appearance at Wimbledon a couple of years ago. She's always had the great athleticism, speed, defence and heart. You could say that from a very, very early age from Coco Gauff, but she's now really grown as a player. She's got a better first serve. She's mixing aggression with defence. She's grown power and looking to move inside the court a lot more, which should, aid her Wimbledon chances. Coco Gauff's just a very, very good tennis player already that could make a major run. So you certainly can't count her out. Elena Rybakina as well is a player that I'm a huge fan of. I think she'll be a future top 5 player. She's had a couple of very good results on the grass in the lead up to this event. Very good all-round game, particularly in the forehand and serve. So she could make a good run. And also Elise Mertens is a player that I think is very suited to the grass courts. But you can name 20 or 30 players and probably still not predict the winner. The WTA is that sort of wide open at the moment. It's just, as I say, littered with quality. So it's worth just sitting and watching as many of the matches as you can in the next couple of weeks. And whoever reaches the final and eventually lifts the title will be, fully deserving. But in terms of me predicting a winner, I do think Serena Williams is the favourite, and I didn't think I would ever be saying that again. I wasn't sure whether Serena could win a Grand Slam, but just with Halep out and Osaka out, and Barty not coming to the tournament in peak fitness, with Serena Williams reaching the final last couple of years, she's got the perfect game style to win at Wimbledon, and she's got so much experience at Wimbledon. And I think the fact that Wimbledon wasn't on last year has probably aided her chances, because the young players like the Sabalenkas and the Swiatek's haven't had that opportunity to gain the grass court experience yet and adjust their styles, whereas Serena's got the style there and ready. She's a crowd favourite. She's won this title 7 times. I just feel like it's the title's there for Serena. If she can produce the best and cruise through those early rounds, then I do think Serena's a bang their favourite for the title. But I'm going to go with Garbine Muguruza just because it's a little bit of an outside shot. I went for Djokovic in the men's, and I don't want to predict the 2 favourites for the titles. I'm going to go with Muguruza. Might be a little bit surprising with her form the last few years at Grand Slams, but I just feel a little bit like Serena that all these players must sense the opportunity with no Halep and Osaka in the draw, and I just feel like if Muguruza can get off the tournament to a good start, playing solid aggressive tennis, get a couple of straight sets wins, Realised that she is one of the favourites in this draw. Realised that she won this title back in 2017, playing aggressive with a strong first serve, with the great angles in the forehands, with the ability to finish points well at the net. Then I think Muguruza can go all the way, and I'm going to predict Muguruza to win this title. But yeah, if you have any comments on the women's tournament yourself, please do leave them in the comment section below. Please leave a like in the video, it is much appreciated. And as I said, I will be covering both the men's and women's Wimbledon on my YouTube channel for the next couple of weeks. So if you are interested in that content, please do subscribe to the channel, it is much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.